Alright, we're live. Streaming to the whole world.
That's it. Alright. I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of The Living Level. And today we have a guest with us, Worshipful Master Thomas Fox. And we're going to sit down with him, talk with him, and get his story, and maybe find out why he joined Masonry and what it's done for him. So we're having technical difficulties. As we said in the first video, we're just figuring this thing out. Brother Bailey's with us.
Come on.
He's a ghost over there. A couple big old boys. We need to find us a wide-angle camera to get us all in the shot here, I guess. But so you'll hear his voice. You may not see that dime of a face he's got. So you just have to deal with us. That's it. That's it. So we'll just jump right into it, Thomas. If you want to tell us who you are, a little bit of your background, and
just really live.
No, it's not live. It's not live. We can edit.
Okay. Thomas Fox, Worshipful Master Sam Todd Lodge, 182, Sugartown, Louisiana.
What do you do for a living? Like what, let the people get to know you a little bit.
Turnaround planner at a petroleum refinery.
Ooh, fancy.
Turnaround money.
Yeah.
Turnaround work too.
Some of us got
the part everybody forgets.
Yes. Some of us got to do it.
Kind of like that railroad money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paper mill.
Oh,
Paper mill money.
Shut down the paper
shut
mill.
down in the paper mill.
But well, we'll kind of get into it. Like what brought you to Freemasonry? Like what made you make that step?
Well, first I just want to say Happy Father's Day.
Yes.
All you guys out there. Second is I'm not an authority on Masonic anything. I can only speak from my experience as a Mason here in Sugartown. And charity is what brought me to Masonry. Several years ago, there was a family who wasn't going to be able to afford Christmas that year, and through no fault of their own, just, life happens. And they reached out, and my wife and I were, scrambling to get what we could to make Christmas happen. They had 3 small children, and my wife said, well, I'm going to reach out to Mom and T and see what they can do. And T said, I'm going to reach out to the Masons, and that was the first real time that I had heard, them referred to as a whole or a group. I've heard all the internet rumors, Illuminati, all that nonsense.
Oh yeah.
It was the first time I realized they were even in our community. I've passed our lodge probably 1,000 times in my life before I ever set foot in it, and that Christmas, T and Bond showed up to our house with just an unbelievable amount of presents, and I think we threw in $100, and we're just going to try and get the kids just something so they would have something to open for Christmas. And I think that year they got a PlayStation 5. Like I was impressed. It was just one of those. I think they got one kid got 2 bikes, so it was just. I was just overwhelmed by all these people who we didn't know, complete strangers, who had nothing to gain, no dog in the fight whatsoever, just all came together to help people that they didn't know. And it was that spirit of charity that really pulled me into Masonry. Because I don't care who you are, being able to help somebody like that will make you feel good. But to see strangers do it for other strangers, that was what really reeled me in. That's when I first started thinking, hey, this might be something I'd like to be a part of.
I think that's kind of how it works for a lot of us too, is seeing the charity work that they do and or that we do as a whole.
I mean, I heard of the Shrine.
Yeah, everybody's
I think I went to
the
the circus, the Shriner Circus, when I was a kid once or twice. I knew about their children's hospital and things like that, but I didn't know they were directly linked to Masonry as a whole.
Yeah, and that's what I've had people come to me and kind of sort of downplay Freemasonry, but then you mention the Shriner and they're like, oh man, they're great people, they do great things.
Yeah.
Not knowing that
I didn't realize they
You
were
have to be
one
a
and the
free-
same
yeah.
until I joined the lodge.
You have to be a Freemason to be a Shriner,
That's
so
right.
it's like it's directly connected. Let's see. Do you think Masonry's changed your life?
Absolutely.
Can you elaborate? Like in what way?
Well, I would say first and foremost on a personal level, I was very much to myself.
You wasn't about to do anything like this, huh?
No, I was going to. That was definitely leading into, I wasn't involved in my community at all, and now that's what we do at St. Todd. We get involved with our community. We help the people who need to be helped. So it definitely changed on a personal aspect. It changed my life in that degree to me getting out in the community and actually caring for people who weren't me. So
Yeah, and I'll chime in on that too. That's what it's done for me. Like, I shut myself out to the world. It was work and home, and it wasn't until I got into Freemasonry with all the other brothers that opened me up. I'm the same way. I'd never be sitting in front of a camera. I'd never be doing stuff like this right now, and here we are. So I'll agree with you on that part of it. It'll get you to open up if you're a closed off person.
Maybe that's why this one was such a good one to have me as the ghost. Because
Hey,
my
must
story
be-
ain't like that. I grew up in it.
Yeah.
Every member of my family just about belonged to Sam Todd
Yeah.
or was a Mason somewhere. So it was different for me. It wasn't like, oh, is he going to join a lodge? Like, as soon as he gets of age, he's going.
Yeah.
There's not a doubt.
Yeah.
And I caught myself several times. Vaughn would ask me, because I'd be like, how in the world, how can they not know what Masonry is?
Mhm.
She's like, well, not everybody grew up with it.
Yeah.
So,
I know I didn't. I'm the first man in my family to ever join. So yeah, it was a whole new experience. It wasn't something I grew up in either.
So I would say personally, it got me more involved in my community. Got me out of my shell. That was the same routine.
Yep.
Eat, sleep, work, repeat.
Yep.
And financially, I spent a lot more money on people that I've never met.
Yeah.
But
But you sleep good at night.
that comes with the charity work.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't care who you are. That's a good feeling to know you've made a positive impact on someone's life. And
'Cause they're-
you don't have to know them,
Yeah.
to be that charitable.
And they don't even have to know that it was you that done it. Like, I've been part of those charitable deeds. We showed up with a van full of gifts to this family, and her parents, I believe, knew,
I think so. I can't
but
remember.
the girl and her children didn't know. And we flew in there one morning, we unloaded that van full of presents, and we got out before the people even knew we were there.
Right.
Let the family tell them where it come from if they want to or not. It's not about like, hey, look what we did. It's just
Yeah, it's really not a cloak and dagger type hideout and do good things for your community. But as a Mason, I don't feel like I need any praise for the good works that I do. The man
Exactly.
upstairs knows what I'm doing,
exactly.
and if I'm doing this, then I'm doing his work.
The man upstairs is who gets the praise.
Exactly.
Not us.
So,
Yeah, I don't feel it. If you're doing it for recognition, then you're not doing it for the right reason.
Right.
In my
Exactly.
opinion, the right
Yep.
reason is to help people.
100% agree.
It's not look at me. It's what can I do to help. That's the way I feel.
So, Tom, being a worshipful master, what all has that entailed for you this year so far? Like, this year ain't even got it started good, and we've been wide open.
If there's some viewers out there that's not Freemasons, the worshipful master is he is over the lodge. He's like the president of the lodge for that year that he's elected. So that's when we say worshipful master, that's kind of what we're talking about. Thomas is the president of the lodge.
It's been a challenge, an exciting challenge. You sit back anywhere in a lodge and kind of relax, and the master doesn't have that option. That's what I've learned. You know, when the room goes quiet, it's because they're all looking at you and waiting for you to make a decision, and that has a tendency to freeze me up. And I'm getting better with it, and
Oh, you're doing a great job. Great job.
and being the master during community events is extra special for me, because you are the standout, you are the voice of this group of men who have all come together to celebrate individuals like our first responders.
Yeah.
You know, that was good to me. I don't like to speak publicly, but you know, being able to stand up there and tell them how much we appreciate what they do and things like that, it's just special. And anyone in the lodge can stand and speak on it, but to be the representative of so many good men is really, really special for me. It's hectic. My phone rings a lot more than it used to, but it's hectic with a purpose, so it makes it worthwhile in the long run.
What would you say your biggest challenge has been since becoming a Mason? If there is one, what would you say it would be?
Not running and telling everyone in the streets is a big challenge for me. I know so many good men who would make great Masons, and that's why we were getting out in our community to make ourselves known and try and get those guys in, but not actively recruiting is probably the biggest challenge for me.
Do you think lodges struggle because they can't actively recruit?
Absolutely. I know at least 5 guys who love doing what we do, who do it on their own, and would really appreciate being a part of a group like this, and they just never ask.
And it's hard because you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You want to pin them down. You want to give them that petition. You want to tell them, hey, just sign here. I'll fill out the rest, you know.
That's what the brother that got me interested in Freemasonry, that when me and him would have Todd, I'd have questions about it, but I never would ask to join. You know, I just, what do y'all do in that lodge? You know, y'all sacrifice goats and stuff. You know what I mean? The stuff you see on the internet, you know. And I'd be talking to him about it, and he never would come out and ask me. But the closest he got to asking me was, he looked me in the face and he said, "Man, you would make a good Mason." And that's where he went with it, you know. And that's how I got in. It was just that one, you would make a good Mason. Well, then that really made me think about it, you know. I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Apart from that, the next biggest struggle is just time. You know, we have so much that we're trying to do, so much that we're trying to accomplish, and there's just no way I could do it on my own. I lean heavily on my lodge, especially these guys, and just the time. Making sure everything's running smoothly, making sure our events are on schedule, we have everything we need. That has been a challenge for me, because I do that at work all day, and then I come home and try and make it you know, as good as it can be for the lodge. But it's definitely not a one-man job, and I'm glad that I have the guys around me that can keep all of that in line. They're the ones that make our lodge successful.
Yeah.
We've done a lot just in the few months of this year, different programs and whatnot. I know it'd be hard for me, but you being the master, we get to ask you anyhow. Is there one program we've done this year that you're more proud of than others? Knowing that we have so many left to do this year.
I really like the wives' appreciation.
That was a good one.
They put in a lot of the work and don't necessarily see all the benefits that we see. So they deserve recognition. So when we were able to recognize them, it was right around Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
You fellas remember that? They keep this place grounded. they do a lot of the legwork. They make a lot of what we do possible. So being able to recognize them was really great.
Talking about wives, whenever each of us got investigated, through the joining the lodge process, your investigating committee comes out and they don't talk just to you, but they talk to your wife also. So I think it's awesome that our wives are able to support us the way that they do, because if they'd have said, well, this is a bad idea and I don't want him to do it, then we wouldn't be sitting where we are today.
Yes.
Yeah.
So without them, our lodge wouldn't prosper or succeed nearly like it has this year. But they don't get the credit they need sometimes.
And they are in the background at every event we got.
Every event. You come to Sam Todd, you're going to eat good food, and you're not leaving unless you take a to-go plate.
Yeah, that's all them.
I mean, they're just plain and simple. The girls are going to make sure of that.
Yep.
And they don't only keep the lodge grounded, but they keep us grounded.
Listen, I took a lot of pride in that meeting because it was close to our lodge and close to the members who put in the extra effort to make us successful. But our Christmas program every year is wonderful. I don't even know how many we had last year, but we've been building momentum with it, and that's the community pride. I would say the wife appreciation, that was more of a personal level of pride, but the community pride really comes into play with our Christmas. And it's not big, it's not extravagant, but we are able to get our community in our lodge, and everybody leaves with a little bit of something. Pictures with Santa, the kids get small gifts, and making that impact. That I really enjoy that. I have a lot of pride in our Christmas program.
Would you say that making an impact at a young age would help Masonry later on in life?
Absolutely. I mean, I was in my 30s before I knew what Masonry was, and every Christmas we have upwards of 200 children running, playing in our lodge. They are going to know what Masonry is. If I'd have known when I was 10, I probably would have joined when I was 18. It's just that kind of thing. And absolutely, it's a good thing for Masonry, because whether they realize it or not, they see it. They're going to pass this lodge and have a memory of it, and that's impact. I mean, that's impact 101. They know what this building is, and they'll remember that time they had a Christmas here. They took pictures with Santa. They played with all the kids who came through. They made cookies. They colored. That's absolutely going to make an impact for Sam Todd and Masonry as a whole.
Membership would probably grow substantially from those impacts if we all did that.
Mm-hmm.
It would take time, but
some of those memories last forever.
Yeah.
I mean, I helped my dad build a house when I was 14, and I still pass that house in Lake Charles sometimes. Me and Dad worked on that house. It's just one of those. It's a feel good thing, and if you give them a sense of nostalgia associated with our lodge, what more can you do?
you're right. I've came here, like I said, I grew up around it, so it's always been a place to go. It's always been something to do, and having a privilege and an honor that most men that join our lodge today don't have, and that was getting to grow in Masonry with some of the old guys that were here. Like when my grandfather joined, and some of the guys that he sat in the lodge with were still here whenever I got raised, and it was it's just always been a place. It's like a humbling feeling whenever you walk through that door and you come into the lodge hall and you walk over them old hardwood floors and you look at all them footprints and you're like, man, I'm making my own footprints. I wonder who's going to follow those one day. But Masonry is something that if we don't take care of it, it'll die out.
Yeah.
So we need those impacts early in life.
Do you possibly maybe have any words for somebody that might be on the fence of Masonry, like whether they should join or whether they shouldn't, or anything you want to say about that?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm biased.
Yeah, I mean, we all are.
I can say this, when I was on the fence, I did a lot of research. The internet is not favorable towards Freemasonry,
No.
not in the least. I saw there's a lot. It's a cult, it's this, it's that, but when I looked at the people who I knew were Masons, who I'd met through Masons, they were all good men, upstanding men, and that's when I just that's what did it for me. That's when I was okay. You know what? I can dip a toe in. You just get off the fence, see what it's about, and I'm glad I did. So yeah, my advice is that if you're on the fence, do some soul searching and look at the guys in your lodge. That would be my advice, because I can guarantee you 9 chances out of 10 you're going to find good men who want to do good things, who want to make themselves better, who want to help their communities. And if that's something that you feel like you would be interested in, then definitely stick that toe in. It could change your life.
I will wholeheartedly agree with that. And every lodge usually does a meal before their meeting. So you can find out what lodge is in your area. Like if you're in the Sugartown area, there's Sam Todd, there's a lodge in DeRitter. No matter where you're at, your town's probably got a little lodge in it somewhere. You can find out what night they meet. And
That'd be the third Saturday of each month for Sam Todd.
Sam Todd is the third Saturday every month. We eat at
6:30.
6:30, and we do our meeting after that. So if take Sam Todd for an example, if you're in the Sugartown area, you're on the fence. The third Saturday, we eat at 6:30. Come out and eat with us. Meet with us. You ain't got to fill out a petition or nothing like that. Just you can come out and meet some of the brothers of the lodge and make your decision off that if that's what you want to do. But that's every lodge out there. They always usually eat before the meeting. You can go in and meet the brothers and kind of talk with them and see what it's all about.
And the meals are pretty good usually.
They are here.
Just in the lodges I've ventured to, they're usually pretty good.
There's usually
just
always
cook
Nothing, even if masonry's not for you, you'll get a decent meal out of it.
Yeah.
Well, at least once a month.
It'll be worth your time.
Yeah.
So Tom, you, like probably several other men in our lodge, you went through all the chairs before being elected master. So in those years of preparation for the East, was there anything that you saw that you were like, okay, I'm going to change that when I'm master. I'm going to fix that. We're going to do this a little bit different when I'm master.
I would say I didn't really have a grasp on the function of the lodge as a whole until I got to the South. To me, that's that's a big boy chair. At that point, you're part of the structure of the lodge, and because a lot of the other chairs, I could see they were interchangeable, but people were serious about their chairs in the South and West and the East. I would say the thing that I wanted to change the most was being more actively involved outside of the lodge. I would come to lodge, I would meet with great guys, we would discuss great ideas, we would cut up, have a good time, lots of fellowship, lots of brotherly love, that sort of thing. And you would hear these great ideas, and even when people were passionate about them, they would just kind of fizzle out over time. And that was a little discouraging to me. So I decided that when I finally got to run the show, which was never my initial intention, by the way. I wanted to sit back and coast in the beginning of my Masonic career, but as you start learning, you learn a little here, you learn a little there, you move up, and before you know it, you're in the East, and everybody's looking at you. When the room gets quiet, like I said earlier, no, I just wanted a more rigid structure for all of the great ideas that I would hear. The masters before me, we all had great ideas, but to implement them, in which I learned my first year as master, is that the ideas are great, but the resources are hard to come by. And then if you do manage the resources, then you still have to have people. So it takes a lot to make all of that happen. And so I was a little less discouraged about stuff not happening in the previous years before me, but I really made it a point to, we're going to do something. I don't know what it is, but we're going to do something. We're not just going to come up here and eat and discuss ideas. We're going to get in our community. I think my part of my speech when I was elected master was put on your fundraising hats, because we're going to get out in the community. We're going to make a difference. And so far we have. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's been a
We're
very
doing good.
productive year.
A good impact. I
So
think.
that's the more direct answer to your question is I wanted to put all the good ideas that I've heard before me up to my year into action.
You want to do more than just read the minutes.
Well, I mean, honestly, Ed, I enjoy Lodge when we're not pushing,
Right.
but it's the push that matters to me, because without the push, you don't get the outcome.
Right.
So I wanted to push, and that's what I feel like I've done, and I think it's working.
Oh yeah,
I do believe.
I do believe.
It's,
I mean, you touched on the first responders night we had last night. You had visitors here that probably have never been inside this building. To my knowledge, as secretary, it's the first responder night we've had, and you had 20-something visitors here. And you got, I got hit up before people left. Hey, I'd like to know when your next meeting is. I'd like to come meet with y'all. I got questions.
Well, I've heard it in this lodge and visiting other lodges. I've heard people say the hard part is getting them here, getting them through the door. Generally, once people see and know what we do, they want to be a part of it.
mm-hmm.
Anyone who has that selflessness or feels compelled, it's a natural compellment to help other people. They want to be a part of it.
Do you think there's a problem with retention? Like whenever somebody does come in, they get their EA, and then they're all excited. They got voted in, they get initiated, and then they fizzle out. If you could improve that, the retention rate, what would be your suggestion for that?
More involvement. We get EAs, they come in here, they enjoy the degree, or they don't. We've had some guys after their EA, hey, it's just not for me. Okay, we understand that, but
Yeah.
we get the guys who are interested, and they come to Lodge once a month, but in the beginning of their Masonic journey, that's all it is it's a monthly meeting, because they can't be directly involved in our business and what we do and what we plan. So I think if we just involve those people more on a personal level, like, we sit on my porch,
Mm-hmm.
where we're always doing something together. We're just make them a part of our core group, and I think we'll increase those numbers. Because, like I said, just without that personal aspect, it's a monthly meeting
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
that you can't even fully participate
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
So to get them from EA to master, I think you got to get them directly involved in however they can be. Tell you what, we do a Christmas drive with some EAs. Let them get out there and see those kids smiling, or those parents who had no idea what they were going to do. To see the look on their face, and they're hooked.
Yeah.
You got the bait in the water, but that's the hook set.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When they feel like they're making a difference, they'll want to be a part of the change. They'll want to be a part of it.
I got one more, and then I'll let Dave hit on a couple. Give him time to think of something. This might be a tough one. You've been a Mason. What was it that dampened your fire? And what was it that built it back up?
Yeah, that's a toughie. Well, COVID dampened my fire. That's for sure.
I think I dampened a lot of people's
Yeah,
fire.
you know, a whole year of not being able to come to lodge. And, I guess the politics within Masonry were not supposed to be political or religious organization, and but you know, anywhere where there's a hierarchy, you have people who are going to vie for the top, and of course it creates politics within our lodge, not necessarily our lodge, but within Masonry. And I've seen people that want Masonry to be a part of a political, think of the word I'm looking for here. They don't seem like they're in Masonry for the right reasons, or what I perceive to be the right reasons.
More for a political gain.
Absolutely. It's you got a lot of look at me guys and a lot of look what we did kind of thing. And so when you see that at the top, you just wonder if it's top down, if the purpose is just going to be to move up to be one of these people who just want to vie for the political power there. And so that was a little disheartening. But what relit my fire is the realization that I don't have to put up with any of that crap. I don't have to do any of that. I can focus solely on my community. I can focus solely on my lodge. If I have the opportunity to help other communities and help other lodges, I absolutely will. But my Masonic journey doesn't have to lead to a place that I don't want it to be. So, you know, with that realization, you know, just kind of grabbed it by the horns, you know, like this is what it can be. I can make it what I want it to be, what it needs to be for me, and what it needs to be for my lodge and for my community. And really, once I just blocked out the noise, then, you know, you turn the water off and those coals start smoking again. If the water stays off long enough, you get fired. And
Come on.
that's what did it for me. Just, you know what, this is my Masonry.
Mm-hmm.
That's what did it for me when it became interpersonal
Right.
for me.
So you would say that the old saying that's normally said just about after every degree, where you get out of Masonry, what you put in, you would say that that's pretty true.
Absolutely. And early on, what you see is what you perceive Masonry to be. But until you make that initial step in your journey to the realization that this is my journey, once it becomes deeply personal, almost spiritual, I would say, then I think that's when you really become a Mason. Because I was part of an organization. Now I'm a Mason in my lodge. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys.
It does to me. I hear exactly what you're saying. Pretty deep. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap things up?
No, just that I'm a behind the scenes guy. This is probably my first and last podcast.
If you even want to call it a podcast, we're just two
I
old
thought
boys.
that's what we were calling it.
Hey,
Oh.
whatever.
Okay.
That's
This
what
is
we're
a
gonna
conversation.
call it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just two old boys talking to somebody.
Maybe at Grand Lodge next year, though, maybe we could get with them. They'll let us get you whenever you get your achievement award for the excellent work that's been done at Sam Todd this year under your leadership, and maybe the year after.
Easy. Let's see.
Remember,
You're a lot of
he likes
projects.
the coast. You know,
You did say something, and I wasn't going to say nothing, but we're going to go back to it anyhow.
Well,
Come
bring it on back
Lied a
around.
little bit.
I lied?
I did.
Oh.
Because I said I'm going to let Dave have one or two, and, you know, but I lied. So you said it was almost spiritual. Break it down a little bit. Since Masonry is not like a religion, and people get that twisted so bad because for some reason, two people that are not in Freemasonry, they believe that it is some kind of a cultish religion. Can you explain in a way that it is not, and how how it is like a spiritual thing for you.
Well, it's just spiritual for me in a moral sense. That's the simplest way that I can explain it. It's wanting to do better, to feel better, and not only that, but when you surround yourself with people who also want to do better and be better, it becomes a second nature. And that's the spiritual part for me, is it's second nature. And when something that's second nature is missing, you notice it somewhere in your being. So it's spiritual in the sense that if you take away the good that we're doing from this lodge, it would affect me personally. Does that make sense?
It does.
So maybe spiritual is not right. I would just say a deep moral attachment to what we do here.
Well, I mean, I'd go to spiritual too.
Yeah.
I think they're
You know,
pretty close.
They're pretty
but-
close to the same
But
thing. Yeah.
just to keep the religious aspect out of it, I would say deep moral connection. How's that?
I got you. But, for people that don't know, it's not a religious thing. Freemasonry is not a religious fraternal organization, even though we probably pray more than most people do, because we believe that, that's where we get our guidance from, is the big man upstairs.
Mhm.
And some people they don't like the fact that we may call him by other names, like the great architect of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the great builder. And I don't know who built the world. I wasn't around to see it, but I got money that says he did. So I believe the great architect of the universe would fit him.
Well, we live in a universe. Universe. You break that word down. That word means one sentence. And in the beginning of your Bible, God said, and it happened.
That's right. You spoke us into existence.
He spoke
That's
us
right.
in one sentence, created all. We live in that universe, that one sentence. So, the grand architect of the universe, the man that built the world, the universe.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm done, Dave. I
You
think
done?
I've
Well done.
covered all my questions.
What's that?
Well done. Closing remarks.
I believe anybody else have anything to add?
I was just gonna say, if you're on the fence about masonry, don't knock it till you try it.
I'll agree.
Don't be scared to ask those questions that you think may be too tough.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Hey, anybody that's a Mason will try their best to answer any question you have. If not, they will find the answer out for you and get back with you. So
We got anything coming up?
we do have Freedom Feast.
Freedom Feast on July 5th.
July 5th. It's going to be that morning up until lunchtime.
8 to noon.
8 till noon. We're doing hamburgers and hot dogs for the community. Come on out. It's free.
My wife said something about we was buying a snow cone machine. So we're probably going to be giving snow cones
Maybe
away
snow
too.
cones? Okay.
Maybe
Maybe snow
Great.
cones, tentatively, maybe. But we will be doing hamburgers and hot dogs, and it's, like I said, it's free to the community. Come on out, enjoy some hamburgers and hot dogs and some fellowship, and bring those questions you got with you. There'll be some men here that could possibly answer them for you, or like I said, find out the answer and get back with you. So, with all that being said, the first episode, we said we kind of wanted to do a message from Mama on each episode. And when we had our first responders here the other night, Mama, back during the Vietnam era, she was a nurse.
I think so.
A nurse for the military. And it was back when the men were coming back from Vietnam. And anybody that knows history knows Vietnam was ugly. And she worked on the soldiers that come back from Vietnam, and she was talking about all the heartache they had, the stuff they seen over there, and the heartache that she had not being able to save every one of them that come in front of her. And so that's kind of what we want to say, is kind of goes back to the first time when she said sit down and talk with your family members and get their stories, because when they pass, those stories pass with them. Somebody may have went through something that you went through, and they can help you through it. Same thing kind of goes together. You don't know what that person has been through and what that person is dealing with, the heartache that they have. So if somebody needs to talk, just sit down and listen. Just be an ear for them, and try your best to help them through. And that, I think the world would be a better place if we just sat down and talked a little more, listened a little more, and don't be so much about yourself. Be about other people and how you can help them. So I believe we'll end it there. And thank y'all for tuning in. Again, if you have any questions about the episode or anything like that, you can put them in the comments, and we'll try to get to them and answer them. And stay tuned to the channel, because you never know when we might pop up with a little ear bender here and there, a little 5-10 minute video catching somebody on the fly, you know. But I want to thank Thomas for being our guest today. I know how hard it is to sit in front of the camera.
I don't care for it.
I kind of like my position over here.
Yeah,
I ain't even
a little
gonna lie.
sidebar
I ain't even gonna lie.
You got away with being the ghost here, the voice from the outer limits over there, you know.
I'll take it.
But like I said, we're still learning. We'll get better equipment eventually and stuff like that. We can do some better videos for you, but like I said, we're just two old boys sitting and chit chatting, trying to introduce you a little more to the Freemasonry and what it's all about. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on The Living Level.